The words left his lips before he could trap them behind his teeth, a toxic confession hanging in the sterile, recycled air of the private maternity ward. "Those aren't my children." CEO Daniel Thorne stared, unblinking, through the observation glass into the neonatal intensive care unit. Inside, two clear bassinets lay two impossibly small infants, their skin a beautiful, deep umber, a stark and shocking contrast to the pristine white blankets swaddling their tiny forms. From the hospital bed behind him, a weak, confused voice broke the silence. "What did you say?" His girlfriend of 2 years, 24-year-old Sophia Reyes, pushed herself up on her elbows, her face a canvas of exhaustion and dawning horror. Her dark eyes, usually so warm and full of light, were clouded with pain and disbelief. Daniel didn't turn to look at her. He couldn't tear his gaze from the babies. "Sophia," he said, his voice flat, detached. "These babies, they're black." A beat of stunned silence. Then, a brittle laugh that held no humor. "Of course they're black, Daniel. I'm black. What on earth did you expect?" But Daniel hadn't expected this. He truly hadn't. Throughout Sophia's entire pregnancy, through the sonograms and the prenatal vitamins and the gentle curve of her belly under his hand, he had constructed a fantasy. He had somehow, through sheer force of will and a deep-seated denial, convinced himself that his genetics would be dominant. That his white skin, his sandy hair, his sharp green eyes would overwrite hers. He had pictured two little versions of himself, infants who would be a seamless, unremarkable extension of the life he was building. A life where his relationship with Sophia had been a passionate, private secret, carefully hidden from the boardroom, from his family in Connecticut, from the world that watched the rising star of Thorne and Associates. The reality behind the glass was a visceral, terrifying shock. It was a truth he could not hide, written plainly on their skin. "Daniel, what is wrong with you?" Sophia's voice cut through the numb panic beginning to buzz in his ears. It was sharper now, laced with a maternal protectiveness that was new and fierce. "These are your daughters, Maya and Lena, the babies we planned for. The babies you held my hand and said you wanted." Daniel finally turned from the window, dragging a trembling hand through his hair. At 36, he was the youngest CEO in his company's storied history, a wunderkind featured in Forbes and the Wall Street Journal. He was being groomed for a Senate run. His name floated in circles of old money and older power. He had cultivated an image as the clean-cut, all-American successor, a man of sharp intellect and sharp pursuits, destined for greatness. These two beautiful, dark-skinned baby girls, was not part of that destiny. It was a detonation waiting to happen at the center of his meticulously constructed world. "Sophia, I can't," he breathed, the words tasting like chalk. This isn't what I thought. This isn't what I agreed to." "What you agreed to?" Sophia struggled harder now, wincing against the pain of her C-section, delivered just 8 hours prior. "Daniel, look at me. What are you saying?" He moved closer to the bed, his eyes darting to the closed door of the private room in the prestigious Boston hospital. He lowered his voice to a harsh whisper. "You have to understand my position, my career, my reputation, the future I'm building, the future we could have had. This complicates everything." They are not a complication," Sophia hissed, her own voice dropping to match his, fury giving her strength. "They are your daughters. Look at them." His control snapped. "Look at how dark they are, Sophia," he said, his voice rising before he choked it back down. "Look, everyone will know. Every person in every room I ever walk into for the rest of my life will take one look at them and know that I was with a black woman. They'll see it. They'll whisper about it. It will be the first thing anyone sees about me, about us." The room went deathly quiet. Sophia's breathing was the only sound, ragged and hurt. "Is that what this is about, Daniel?" she asked, each word dropping like a stone into cold water. "Is that what you see when you look at our girls? A problem? A social liability?" Daniel's silence was louder than any shout. It was a confirmation, a surrender to his own deepest, most shameful fear. "Get out. she whispered, the fight suddenly draining from her, replaced by a cold, final resolve. Sophia, wait. We can figure this out. There are options. Maybe we could say they're adopted. Or that I'm just a benefactor. We can structure something. Get out. The scream tore from her throat, raw and guttural, echoing off the sterile walls. It was a sound of such profound betrayal and pain that it brought a nurse rushing in, eyes wide with alarm. Get out of this room. Get out of our lives. Don't you ever come back. Daniel fled. He left the hospital that day and, as he had promised, he never returned. In the cold, efficient weeks that followed, he hired a team of lawyers so discreet they were practically invisible. Their mandate was simple: erase him. His name was to appear on no birth certificate, no hospital record, no document of any kind. He arranged a single, lump sum payment to Sophia Reyes, a sum large enough to ensure her comfort, but delivered with a contract so airtight it strangled any future claim. His lead attorney, a man with eyes like glacial ice, made the consequences perfectly clear. If Sophia ever so much as whispered his name in connection to those children, they would bury her under endless litigation, destroy her credit, and ensure she never worked in Boston again. It was a clean, surgical severance. He told himself it was the only rational choice, the necessary sacrifice for the greater trajectory of his life. Heartbroken but unbroken, Sophia Reyes took her daughters and moved back to her hometown of Baltimore. She raised Maya and Lena alone in a small but bright apartment, the lump sum providing a down payment on stability, but not luxury. She worked 2 jobs, days as a paralegal, evenings as a bookstore clerk, while finishing her degree in community sociology. She told her girls that their father had not been ready for a family, that he was a man who chose a different path. She did not tell them he was a powerful CEO. She did not tell them he was ashamed. She poured every ounce of her love, her intelligence, and her fierce pride into them, teaching them about their heritage, about resilience, about the quiet dignity of hard work and the loud power of self-respect. And Daniel Thorne ascended. He became the CEO of multiple Fortune 500 companies, a heavyweight political donor, a fixture on the society pages of New York and Washington. He married Charlotte Pembroke, a woman whose blonde elegance and Mayflower lineage were the perfect accessories to his ambition. They had 2 children together, a son and a daughter, both possessing his light hair, his green eyes, his unmistakable features. He built Thorne Global into an empire valued at over $4 billion. He bought a historic estate in Greenwich and a penthouse triplex on Fifth Avenue. He gave TED Talks on disruptive innovation and wrote op-eds on economic patriotism. In the rare quiet moment, he would sometimes feel a phantom twinge, a ghost of that day in the hospital, but he would quickly smother it with logic. He had preserved his legacy. He had secured his place. The other life, the one with Sophia and the twins, was a shadow chapter, regrettable but closed. The universe, however, maintains a ledger. Years later, Daniel Thorne stood in the opulent, golden-lit ballroom of the Regal Orion Hotel in Chicago, holding a flute of vintage champagne he had no intention of drinking. He was attending the annual Pioneer Summit, a lavishly orchestrated gathering of the world's most powerful entrepreneurs, investors, and thought leaders. He was there to represent Thorne Acquisitions, his most ruthless venture yet, which had just finalized the hostile takeover of a groundbreaking robotics startup. His plan was simple: strip it for its intellectual property and top engineering talent, discard the rest, and sell the pieces for a profit that would shock even his jaded board. It was a practice he had perfected, a predator's dance that always ended with his coffers fuller and another innovative company gutted. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed with practiced gravitas, cutting through the din of clinking glasses and murmured deals. It is now my profound honor to introduce this year's recipients of the Pioneer Leadership Award. These 2 young visionaries have not only built a revolutionary enterprise, but have fundamentally redefined the ethical compass of the tech industry. Their work proves that profit and purpose are not mutually exclusive. Please give a warm welcome to the founders of Ether Systems, Maya and Lena Reyes. Polite, Automatic applause began around him. Daniel was already looking back at his phone, scanning a merger brief. Then the surname registered. Reyes. It was a common name, he told himself. A coincidence. But a cold, unfamiliar knot began to tighten in his stomach. Slowly, against his own will, he lifted his head. Two women in their mid-20s walked onto the stage. They were striking, commanding an immediate stillness from the room. They moved with a unison that spoke of deep understanding, and they held themselves with a quiet confidence that had nothing to do with bravado. And they were familiar, hauntingly so. They had his jawline, the exact same curve of his brow, his tall, athletic build. But they had Sophia's beautiful deep brown skin, her high cheekbones, her wide, intelligent eyes that seemed to see everything. And her smile, warm, radiant, genuine. Time collapsed. The two tiny infants behind the glass were gone, replaced by these two formidable women, his daughters. The blood drained from his face so quickly he felt lightheaded. Maya, the one who stepped to the microphone first, had her mother's grace, but a steadiness in her gaze that was all her own. "Thank you," she began, her voice clear and carrying effortlessly. 5 years ago, my sister and I were two recent graduates with a shared conviction. We believed data wasn't just for corporate dashboards, it could be a tool for justice, for equity. We saw a world where technology lifted floors instead of just raising ceilings. Lena stepped forward, her presence equally potent. Today, Ether Systems employs over 2,000 people across 4 continents. We've partnered with municipal governments, nonprofits, and school districts to use predictive analytics not to maximize ad revenue, but to allocate resources to underfunded schools, to identify food deserts, to predict and prevent urban blight. We believe in proactive compassion. The audience was captivated. Daniel stood frozen, his champagne flute forgotten in his numb hand. He listened, in a daze, as they spoke of algorithms designed for social good, of a corporate culture built on inclusivity and mentorship, of a platform that was bridging the digital divide in tangible, measurable ways. They were articulate, passionate, and devastatingly competent. And according to the Business Journal headlines he half remembered, their company was valued at nearly $7 billion, a fact that hit him with a strange, hollow pang. None of this would have been possible without our first and most important investor, Maya said, her voice softening. Our mother, Sophia Reyes. The applause swelled again as Sophia walked onto the stage. Daniel's breath caught. At 49, she was more beautiful than he remembered. Time had added lines of wisdom and strength to her face, not diminished her. She wore a simple, elegant navy gown, and the look of pride she bestowed upon her daughters was more dazzling than any spotlight. She stood between them, a united front of formidable women. Mom worked 2 full-time jobs to put herself through school while raising twins, Lena said, slipping an arm around Sophia's waist. She taught us that character is what you do when no one is watching, and that integrity is the only currency that never depreciates. She taught us that our background was not a hurdle, but a foundation, Maya added. And she taught us that a real leader doesn't build a throne. They build a table where everyone has a seat. Each word was a delicate, precise needle finding its way under Daniel's skin. He heard the subtext in every sentence, the absence of a father, the strength forged in struggle, the values he had conspicuously failed to embody. Our mother also told us, Maya continued, her gaze turning thoughtful, that our father made a choice a long time ago. He chose a different life. And while his choice hurt us, it ultimately said nothing about our worth and everything about his capacity. It taught us to value the people who show up, not just the ones who share DNA. The ballroom was utterly silent, moved by the raw honesty. Daniel felt exposed, as if the words were a spotlight shining directly on the hollow core of his own life. He thought of his own children with Charlotte, polite, privileged, but lacking any of this fire, this purpose. He thought of his own leadership, which consisted of leveraged buyouts and layoff announcements. He thought of the ongoing SEC investigation he was quietly settling, the environmental fines his petrochemical division was paying, the countless lives disrupted in the name of shareholder value. These women, his flesh and blood, were everything his glossy brochures claimed he was. And he was the grim reality their company was founded to fight. The receiving line after the ceremony felt like a walk to the gallows. He moved mechanically, a ghost in a room full of vibrant life. When he reached Maya, his throat was dry. "Congratulations," he managed to croak out, taking her offered hand. Her handshake was firm, brief, professional. "Thank you very much," she said with a polite, distant smile, already looking past him to the next well-wisher. He moved to Lena. "Your speech was incredibly moving. Your mother must be bursting with pride." Lena's smile was warmer, more open. "She is. She's our hero. She's living proof that the most powerful force in the world is a determined heart." She turned to accept congratulations from someone else, leaving Daniel standing there, gutted. Then he was before Sophia. She was talking with a group of investors, her laughter light and easy. She turned, and her eyes met his. The change was instantaneous. All color vanished from her face. Her smile died. The easy confidence solidified into something hard and unyielding. For a long, terrifying second, she simply stared, and Daniel saw a quarter-century of struggle, loneliness, and righteous anger flash in her eyes. "Mom?" Maya was at her side instantly, sensing the shift. "Are you okay? You look faint." Sophia didn't seem to hear her. Her gaze was locked on Daniel. "What are you doing here?" The question was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of years. We knew each other," Daniel stammered, the master orator reduced to incoherence. "A long time ago." Lena was there now too, looking between her mother's ashen face and this visibly shaken older man. "How long ago?" Lena asked, her voice cautious. Daniel couldn't look away from Sophia. 25 years. Maya, the data analyst, made the connection with lightning speed. Her own face paled. 25 years, she repeated, the number hanging in the air like a verdict. The celebratory bubble around them popped. An awkward, heavy silence descended. Other guests began to notice, edging away slightly, sensing a private storm. "Mom," Lena pressed, her voice now tight with anxiety. Who is this?" Sophia took a deep, shuddering breath, as if steeling herself for a physical blow. She looked at her daughters, her eyes brimming with a love so fierce it seemed to fortify her. Then she looked back at Daniel, and her expression settled into one of profound, unassailable truth. "Girls," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "This is Daniel Thorne." A pause that stretched across decades. "Your father." The word detonated in the space between them. Maya physically recoiled, taking a sharp step back as if slapped. Lena's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with a storm of shock, hurt, and burgeoning fury. All the abstract stories, the quiet wondering, the father-shaped void in their lives had suddenly been given a face, a name, a presence standing awkwardly in a tuxedo. The ghost had materialized. Daniel found his voice, a pathetic, scrambling thing. "I can explain. Please let me explain." "Explain what?" Lena was the first to speak, her whisper venomous. "Explain how you walked out of a hospital and out of our lives? Explain how you could do that." "It wasn't that simple," Daniel pleaded, the CEO facade crumbling. "I was young. I was under immense pressure. I wasn't ready for the responsibility." "You weren't ready?" Maya's voice was colder, analytical, cutting through his excuses like a scalpel. "You were 36 years old, a CEO. You had every resource imaginable. What you weren't ready for, what you were clearly terrified of, was being seen as the father of Black children. That's the data point you couldn't reconcile, isn't it?" Daniel flinched. He looked around desperately, seeing the curious, avid stares of the surrounding elite. "Please, not here. Can we go somewhere private? I want to talk. I want to make things right." "Make things right?" Lena let out a short, bitter laugh. "How? With a check? Is that your solution for everything? You think you can write a number on a piece of paper and erase 25 years of you not being there? Of Mom crying herself to sleep? of us wondering what was so wrong with us that our own father didn't want us. The raw pain in her voice was worse than any shouted accusation. Daniel felt it like a physical blow. I know I can't erase the past, but I can be here now. I have influence. I have capital. I can help ether systems in ways you can't imagine. I can open doors. We don't want your doors. Maya snapped, her composure finally breaking. Our company is worth $7 billion. We have doors flying open because of our work, because of our integrity, not because of your last name. What we needed was a father. We needed someone to teach us to ride a bike, to tell us we were smart and beautiful, to show up for parent-teacher conferences. You weren't there for that. You chose not to be, and you chose it because of the color of our skin. The truth, stated so plainly in the glittering ballroom, was mortifying. Daniel saw recognition dawn on the faces of people nearby. He saw whispers start. I was wrong, he whispered, the admission ripped from him. I was scared and wrong, and I have regretted it every single day. Have you? Lena challenged, her eyes blazing. Or do you just regret it now, when you see us on a stage, successful without you? When you see that the liability you abandoned turned out to be your greatest possible legacy? Is your regret about us, or about your own monumental mistake? Daniel had no answer. Her words struck the hidden, shameful core of his feelings. The staggering success of his daughters was a mirror reflecting his own moral failure with terrifying clarity. Sophia finally spoke again, her voice a calm, deep current beneath her daughter's storm. You made your choice, Daniel. A clear, conscious, cowardly choice. We have lived with the consequences, and we have built something beautiful from them. You don't get to walk back and now that the hard work is done and claim a victory you didn't earn. Please, Daniel said, the word a broken thing. They're my daughters. We're family. No, Maya said, the finality in her tone, leaving no room for appeal. Family doesn't abandon family. Family shows up. You are a biological contributor, a stranger, and we would like you to leave. At that moment, hotel security, alerted by the growing tension, materialized at the edge of their group. Is everything all right here, Ms. Reyes? One asked Maya respectfully. No, it's not, Maya said, her gaze never leaving Daniel's defeated face. This man is harassing us and our mother. We need him removed from the premises immediately. Wait, Daniel began, but the security officers were already on either side of him, their grips firm and impersonal. You need to come with us, sir. Helpless, humiliated, Daniel allowed himself to be guided through the parting crowd. He was a spectacle, the powerful Daniel Thorne being escorted out like a common troublemaker. As he reached the grand ballroom doors, he twisted for one last look. His daughters had turned inward, forming a tight circle with Sophia. Lena had her head on her mother's shoulder. Maya had an arm around them both. Sophia was speaking softly, soothingly, her hands stroking their backs. They were a unit, complete and whole, drawing strength from each other. They were the family he had been offered and had so carelessly, so cruelly discarded. The ornate doors swung shut, blocking the view. Outside, the Chicago night was cool and indifferent. The sounds of the gala, the music, the laughter, the celebration of his daughter's achievements were muffled, then gone. His driver stood waiting by the town car, his face professionally blank. The drive to his luxury hotel was silent. The suite, with its panoramic views of the city lights, felt profoundly, achingly empty. The accolades on the walls, the photographs of him with senators and celebrities, seemed like artifacts from a life that belonged to someone else, a hollow man playing a part. He had spent 25 years building an empire of wealth and influence, believing it was the ultimate achievement. Tonight, he understood it was a gilded cage. The true legacy, the one built on love, resilience, and principle, belonged to Sophia, Maya, and Lena. They had taken the pieces he had left broken and built a masterpiece. He had looked at his infant daughters and seen only a threat to his image. Tonight, he had looked at the women they had become and seen the devastating reflection of everything he was not. They were his greatest what-if, his most expensive mistake, and the living proof that the universe eventually balances its books. The father who chose his reputation over his children was left standing alone, his reputation in tatters, his children lost to him forever. The children who were denied their father had gained everything: a mother's unwavering love, a sister's unbreakable bond, and the self-respect that comes from building a meaningful life on their own terms. In the end, justice was not a courtroom or a headline. It was two women on a stage, speaking truths he could no longer outrun. It was the silent, solid strength of a family that had thrived without him. And as Daniel Thorne stared out at the glittering, lonely city, he finally understood that some debts cannot be repaid, some choices cannot be unmade, and some losses are the permanent price of a cowardly heart.